Hello everyone on the internet and thanks for tuning in.
And welcome to another episode with me, Ross, Master Bushido, and with my Toku Bro on the other side of that camera is Flayvaman!
Imagination!
And in that gayish impression, yes, today we will be talking about the most recent Sentai yet that has just finished, and that is Ressha Sentai ToQger!
Yay! I literally only just watched the last episode a few hours ago. I mean, it broadcasted in Japan. The last episode broadcasted last Sunday? That was 4 or 5 days ago. And I watched the subbed version today.
Date.
It was something like, bearing in mind this, right, it was the 15th. The 15th was the day it was broadcast in Japan. Yeah.
Alright. Notes that due to some incidents in Japan that they did delay the airing by a week. Now, now that finally we have seen it, first off, Mr. Flayvaman, what did you think for starting off with the build-up?
Build-up, let's see. I remember seeing the ToQger suits for the first time. Or, actually, you know what? I remember being the build-up, I remember hearing, just as every year, you hear loads of random rumours as to what they might or might not be doing. I think I do remember hearing rumours about it being bug theme and, again, just the random crap you normally hear.
I remember we had this discussion.
Just end up not being it. So I remember hearing something about a bug version. And then it became a train version. I think when I heard it was going to be like a sort of Deno thing, I was like, surely not. Surely this is like another falsity. But alas, it wasn't. I was like, right, fine, ToQger. And then there was like massive discussion, like breaking down the name ToQger, Express, Express Ranger or something, Express Sentai Express Ranger or something. So I remember like everyone really analysing the name. And then like a week or two afterwards, I think they made it like a deliberate leak. Then the suits were revealed. And I'll be honest, I thought yuck. I thought it's very simple and the black and white stripes coming out of the numbers just looked yuck. But the one thing that sort of had me on edge was, one, they weren't using colours in the name, and two, I was trying to get my head around the whole colour switching thing. I was like, so how does that work? Is it the character switching colour, or is the colour jumping from character, or da 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 da? I had to watch the first episode to actually understand what they were doing.
Right. Because in my circumstance, in regards to build-up, I'm just going to touch on first off in regards to the name itself. That we had this, I think, if you remember, we had this discussion on if it were going to be a dog ranger or inu ranger, battleships or whatever. If you remember, we had this discussion that there was like some rumors and such going around.
There's always rumors every year.
I meant, but those were the two that I remember wholeheartedly. And then when it got to trains, I was, like you mentioned, I was like, kind of thing. And then as they released the name, I was like, really? Like yourself, you said? And then when it got to the suits, I was like, really? And then what I really did not like was the train track going around their helmet. I did not like that.
Actually, I mean, because I remember seeing the helmets and thinking that's a redeeming thing, because I thought the helmets looked alright. Maybe on Ichigo,
no.
I kind of thought, yeah, because it's like the old style. But I liked how each helmet looked like a different style of train. So
agreed.
You're looking at, I think it must be Yongo that has a decent helmet. And I like how each helmet reflects a different style of train. But coming back to, I mean, I was just thinking about how I couldn't wrap my head around how the premise of the colour changing worked. What really confused me was how the toys, the merchandise, it was the same toy with just the number switching around. So I must have got confused in that are the characters just switching numbers? So that's what confused me as well. Well, that's what mainly confused me, I guess, until the first episode.
Okay, first off, just to quickly touch on the suit, that I did not like the suit in regards to the build-up as well of that. In regards to the, instead of calling it by their color, instead of calling it by their number, I thought was like, this could be interesting kind of thing. And then in regards to the changing the whole color scheme and such, they were trying to in the build-up, trying to do in relation to changing trains on the platform kind of thing. So that's the whole premise of that.
I didn't clock onto the whole platform thing that you mentioned until the first episode, to be fair.
No, agreed on that. Now, in regards to the whole, okay, let's start with the intro, if you want, just to start off with the intro.
Are we talking about music and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about music. Well,
if you want, and then we'll go.
I liked it at the time, and I liked it during the opening, and the ending wasn't that great, but I thought it was alright. I actually liked the OP and the end credits songs. It had a lot of energy to it. It had like the pizzazz, the optimism. I actually did like the OP and ending. The music itself, there's actually this this soundbite I keep hearing. I think it's during ToQger's like dialogue, like BGM dialogue. It sounds like really heavy. It's got like a really heavy sort of sound to it. I mean, again, I've yet to review the soundtrack, so I keep meaning to get the soundtrack. I haven't got it yet. I've got every other soundtrack apart from ToQger, which is really weird, especially having it just ended. So I've spent the whole year not having listened to the soundtrack. It's actually, I mean, just listening to BGM as the show, I think it's got good stuff. I like the music in the show. I thought it was a bit corny, and obviously jumping ahead to the specials, I thought it was a bit corny. Sort of a few weeks ago, they had the actual band that performed the OP in the show.
Really?
Did you not see that episode?
Oh no, that
they were performing
I
the
saw
song
that.
in the train.
Wasn't that the Christmas? No, that was the Christmas one, wasn't it?
I think that might have been the clip show.
No, that was the Christmas / New Year's one.
Around that time. It was around that time.
Yeah. I just remembered.
I don't think it was. It might have been the Christmas special, but I'm thinking that was the clip
show. It was.
Show. No, I think that was the clip show when there was no baddies knocking about, which they do. It was right. Well, either way, it was either the clip show or the Christmas special. But yeah, when they had the band, I think what are they called? Ike something or other, Issei something, Daiki Issei or something. Yeah. Our attention to detail is so amazing in this show. Okay.
Yeah, we go by natural.
Sure. All right. So I mean, did you want to cover anything on the music side? What did you think of the opening credits?
Yes. This is the first time I've actually heard the narrator or whoever actually saying just before the actual song starts, saying it's 7:30. ToQger is about to arrive. I thought that was an amazing touch. At first time I heard it, I was like, wait, what is this? It's actually 7:30? The fact that they announced that, I thought was brilliant. I love that.
I like the element, but, and I was not going to bring this up, but the fact that you've brought it up, what really hacked me off week after week, and I did mention this to you, is it would start off, it's 7:30, but it would always be late. It was never on time. It was always 32, 33, 34.
No.
That really used to hack me off. I mean, call me OCD or whatever, but that really hacked me off.
No, because the reason that the announcement does that is because remember something. No, stop. No. Because remember, when they actually start showing the episodes, it's actually 7:30, not when the music starts.
No, but you see the train leaving at like 32, 33, 34. You don't see it leave at 7:30. That used to really wind me out.
Okay, I see where you're coming from, and I'm not gonna go against it. However, if you see it from my perspective, that it's actually when the episode starts at 7:30. I'm not going against you. I'm not disagreeing, but I'm saying that there's also that part where it's the episode itself technically starts at 7:30. So technically, the premise on that is that.
Basically, I'm going to say I think it was a nice thing to do.
Yes.
However, because ToQger, they would put like a little prelude, if you will, and then they'd play the OP. That is what made it out of time with the actual time. So it would be 7:32, 33, 34 at one point, I think. And I'll actually monitor it week by week. I'll be like, how late are they this week? How late are they going to be this week? Even the final episode that I watched a few hours ago. Let me think. Did they actually announce the time in the final episode? I'm not sure, but it was still like 2-3 minutes because they've got that prelude at the beginning. Just to cross-reference it to Kamen Rider Drive, which is currently airing, they do not have a prelude. They go straight into the OP, right? So straight into the OP. So there's no time delay. If ToQger had done that, they would have been on time. You know what? In Japan, they are so obsessed with trains running on time. Yeah, like to the minute.
I will agree that if you look at it from that way, it is a huge hypocrisy. Yes, I do see that.
It's a massive hypocrisy, right? You know, if my Shinkansen was so much as 2 minutes late, I'd want a letter from the company excusing me to wherever my business destination was. So there.
Right. Coming back to realization for a moment here.
Right.
And reality. One, for me to finish OPs off. One, I liked it. Two, I like the element at the beginning about saying that, you know, 7:30 ToQger is arriving and so on and so forth. I liked it. As for the uniqueness. As for the ending, each episode was, I love the fact that each ending was different in that they showed images of different trains around Japan.
I will say,
I like that. Nice, and when for someone who's half Japanese, the fact that I recognized maybe one or two or three of them, and I was like, I know that kind of thing.
I'm not gonna lie, I only recognise the Yamanote line because when I was in Japan, I stayed in Shinjuku.
But that must be. Yeah. But I'm sure you got a great buzz from saying, "Yeah, I know that."
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So, and I love the tune. I thought it was a very nice, and this is probably one of the first few series in a while that I actually liked, and I'm actually going to say this comfortably. I liked both opening and ending.
Yeah, it had a good tandem.
Yeah, I can say like, what the hell, what, like I either like the opening or I either like the ending, either one or the other, but never both. Without,
I would have to think about that one myself personally, but you know, normally you do either. I mean, I think there have been a couple series where, like, they're both weak or one is stronger than the other. I mean, for example, I would say Hurricane Jar had a strong opening but a very poor ending.
Yes.
Whereas, no, I'll say there was a good balance between the two, and they were both likable.
I mean, the only closest to recent I can think of, maybe I have to refresh my memory, but maybe KyoRyuKiva.
Yeah.
If I'm adding,
if I'm adding
the ending,
in my opinion, KyoRyuKiva's ending was stronger than the opening.
But then that's where we're swapping. I'm swapping the other way around. I love the opening, and I thought the ending was weird.
What? Anyway.
Anyway. Right.
So should we actually carry on talking about ToQger now?
I don't mind. Anyway.
Yes, let's do this. Alright. So let's touch on what did you... Well, I think we covered this already, but just briefly. What did you think of the whole train motif for this series, as opposed to anything else, or just the train theme in general?
When I first found out that it was train, I was like, but then during the build-up, they started announcing the different types of armaments and different types of trains that they were going to bring out. And I was question marking in my head, like, really, kind of thing. However, saying that, what's it? During like, if we're talking during the build-up, that was like my impression. But during the first episodes and such, after I've seen the whole the Skittle line, if we want to call it, or Rainbow line,
Yeah.
I actually didn't mind it as much as it was very vibrant, colourful. That this show was trying to give off a lot. I actually didn't mind it. The fact that it was led by a very dominant, and I'm going to use that word dominant, red steam engine, as opposed to something that of Deno, example for a minute. And then you've got the rest is like I don't know, a bullet train, something that of a local train in Japan, for instance, and such, and something in between on the others. I actually didn't mind it.
Okay.
The appearance of them, I liked. I thought it was original. I liked that Sentai actually did that. Yeah, for motif, and then each, we'll get to armament later, but
Right. Okay.
but no, hang on. In regards to just in general, if I have to add that the other trains that they introduced, I actually didn't mind.
Right.
I'll say it like that.
Okay. Well, talking about the motif, I'll say I remember thinking, God, that's mighty brave, and it's probably clever because again, they were like thinking about the whole how Deno was successful. I mean, very successful was Deno. But I thought, oh, is it actually going to transfer into Sentai though? And then not long after the announcement, you then see these images online of Thomas the Tank and Chaka. I don't know if you saw that. I thought, right, so people are going to just rip into this. And then, and again, this is literally covering build-up as well again. Well, going back to build-up. I remember seeing what was it ToQger? Yeah, seeing what ToQger looked like, and I was just like, yuck, I didn't like the mecha. And I'll say that from beginning to end, I did not like the mecha. It was too simple, it just, yuck. It was lazy.
Yeah, okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
They could have done something a lot more, but again, I just remember that even as a build-up, and I stuck with it beginning to end. But the trainers motif, I just remember thinking really brave, and then before long, people are comparing it to the Thomas the Tank Engine mecha that they sort of produced at one point. Yeah, that's just my opinion on that. What did you think of the general moral? No, we'll get back to mecha. What did you think of like the moral of the story, and what did you think of the whole imagination thing and the whole keeping of childhood innocence and youth and stuff?
Right, so assuming we'll get to story later, it just in regards to the
this is mixing story and morale. Yeah, we're mixing story and morale here. So, what did you think of all that? What did you think of the whole imagination thing?
That's the problem. In that, I felt that Pink was so reliant on the whole imagination thing, and that everyone else was so sidelined in regards to that it felt like it was just her and saying like, I'm really strong, I'm really strong, I'm really strong.
Oh my god! Even in the
power girl kind of thing.
Even in the last episode, she was doing that. I remember that. I remember this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like everyone else has just had it, whereas she like hulks it out of her kind of thing.
I think that was
and I'm like,
though, to be fair.
Agreed, but there's a fine line, and like, I wish there was more from the others, so you notice at least, okay, they actually
what do you think
do
of it,
something.
What do you think of it as a theme though? Because again, because normally it's like courage or adventure or something very sort of butch, like not necessarily butch, but sort of, and what?
Wasted.
So you think the imagination theme's a bit wasted then?
I think they had something going, however, I feel that
I don't necessarily see why imagination is the polar opposite to darkness, because you can have a dark imagination though.
True, but I think
they
had something. I think they had something
imagination to win. But yeah,
I think they had something, but sorry, rephrase. The idea is that the execution was slightly lagging. Let's put it that way. In regards to the story, I thought it was really slow to start with. It took me a while, but then once it started, once it got to about maybe after a quarter, once there was a major, it was a quarter halfway through, there was a significant, how do you call it, like story point. That's where it built up. That's where it just hit. That's where I just had to watch more and more just for the story's sake.
I'd say I think you'll remember this. This was barely a year ago now. That I was all like, oh, too many mysteries, and I think it fed off of that at the beginning. Like nothing just made any sense, but I liked how things did come together.
Agreed.
I mean, I wouldn't say it was the best storyline. I wouldn't say, they could have done something. Yeah, they could have done better points here and there. But I think on its own merit, it didn't do too bad. I mean, yeah, if you're going to compare it to Sentai's of old, then yeah, I'm sure you could come up with quite a few better storylines or better plot. You're talking plot devices when you're saying about the turning point. But yeah, I'd probably say they had some semi-decent plot devices. I'd probably say they could have come up with better. And then I will say, let me think. I mean, I would probably say it had this very mysterious beginning, it had a good middle, and then I'd probably say the end dragged. But then they crammed so much into the final episode. It was like they crammed. I would probably say the last episode, which we'll cover the end later. I'll probably say they felt like they crammed hot air. It wasn't a bad final episode, or the last few episodes weren't that bad, but I just kind of felt that, specifically the last episode, bearing in mind I only saw it a few hours ago, they crammed a lot of hot air into it. But the last, say, 5 episodes, altogether wasn't too bad. But it still felt a little slow and dragged.
I think the first quarter was slow and dragged. Like it was.
But it would have done, because there was a lot of mystery in it. Don't forget.
Not just that. That's the problem, though. It felt more like character development rather than a story. Because I didn't know what the hell was going on.
We'll cover characters in a moment, actually. But I actually did like the character development in ToQger overall.
Hang on a minute. But if we're talking about the story, there's a story alone. That's the problem. That you felt like, wait, what's going on? Hello.
But that's the whole idea of it being a mystery, though.
Yeah, true. But then I felt like they had to spell it out for me at that either quarter or halfway mark. I'm not.
All right, I'll agree they had to spell it out, but that's what made the reveal the reveal. But I guess they could have done it a little more subtly or a little more in a clever manner.
Yeah.
Than,
like either make us guess or something.
What is it? Because the way it was done was the conductor, I can't remember his name, the one with the ticket on his hand, ticket puppet.
Conductor.
I can't remember his name. Did he have
No, it is conductor.
Whatever. The fact that he was just the big reveal, it's like, alright mate, well done. And we'll get onto characters in literally just a moment. Actually, should we go onto characters now? I'll just say,
why not?
Alright, so in general, the story, I thought, mysterious beginning, good middle, sort of a bit of a drag then, but it wasn't too bad. Alright, so let's go on to
for
characters.
me to sum that one up, I'd say slow start, great, how can I say,
middle?
Story reveal at the middle, fair finish.
Okay, I'll go with fair finish as well. Alright, so... Sorry. What about... Alright, let's go to characters then. So, what do we think of Toku Ichigo?
For the style of this series and the style, I thought he was a good red.
I thought it was a brilliant red.
Okay, I'm gonna use a very... Okay. The whole style felt like Gaseja. I think we've actually touched on this when we slagged off Gaseja.
No, we touched on this when we were doing when we did our Toku Talk last week.
Oh yeah, that basically, I think that what's it? Arata from Gaseija and Naito had a similar childish personality. However, Arata from Gaseija was so rubbish, and I'm just going to bluntly throw it.
I'd say Raito was a much more refined version of Alata, but I wouldn't necessarily compare him to Alata. I liked Raito.
Okay, as an example.
I mean, he wasn't. I mean, you know, I think I personally prefer the very sort of macho, headstrong Red Rangers like. Is it Akashi from Bokenja?
Yeah.
Captain Marvelous from Gokaiger. These are two examples. Yeah, and even so those are two strong examples. I mean, Ban,
Geki.
and then no, Geki was a bit zany, and that was cool. But Ban was it Ban or Ban from Deca Ranger? He was sort of where Akashi meets Geki Red. Damn it, I'm getting names mixed up now. Right, Deca Ranger was like a mix of Boken Red and Geki Red, but again, Boken Red and Gokai Red were the ones that are my typical likes. Toku Ichigo, he wasn't the sort of red that I normally like, but I liked him. He wasn't as zany as Geki Red, but he still had like a flair to him.
I meant Geki. Sorry. I meant Geki as in Tirana Ranger from Ranger.
Oh right.
When you say you like strong and macho type, that's what I.
Well, all right. I remember Abari Red. You're talking about Abari Red, right? No, you're talking Geki Ranger. No, wait, Geki from Ranger. Right, that's a very. You've not seen that much of Ranger, though, have you?
I'm only giving an example because you say you like macho.
But I wouldn't say Geki was a macho Red Ranger. He was the one full of heart. He was the one that's like, oh, the team's failing, it's all my fault. That's what Geki was like. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I mean, episode 6 of Ranger, watch it. Anyway,
I think I can see he has the, how can I say, the flamboyance of Deca Red mixed with the sort of courage slash fighting-ish style of Geki Red, if that
I
makes...
would probably say Toku Ichigo was like Geki Red
meets Deca.
Watered down. So he wasn't a jungle boy.
Okay, no, I get that. No, I can see that. The way you say that, yeah. I was like, hang on, wait, what do you mean by watered down? But then, yeah, with minus the jungle side, yes, I see that.
Okay,
I
what
can
do we
see that.
think of the other characters? So we've got Toku which is Tokachi.
At first, I found him annoying, but he grew on me.
I will say that I related to him the most.
I wonder why.
Alright, what do we think of Toku Sango Rio? What? Just because I wear spectacles? Anyway, what do we think of Sango?
Mio?
Mio. I said Rio. I kept calling her Rio the whole year, by the way.
Would you like to explain to the viewers why Rio?
I don't know, because her name is Rio and she dances on the sand, even though her name's not actually Rio. But Mio, what do we think of Mio? For some reason in my head, I was comparing a fair bit to Gokai Yellow at the beginning. Hang on. And then slowly she became an independent character for me, and I actually liked her, though I felt that I'll get everyone's, how can I say, on-screen standout, should I say? I liked her as a character, but I felt that she didn't have that much of a dominant presence, if that makes sense. I will disagree. I understand what you mean, but I disagree. I will say that I liked her. She was a strong character. She was quite a tomboyish character. She had a good...
Like Gokai Yellow.
She had a good character. No, I wouldn't actually compare her to any other character. Looks-wise, I did actually compare her to Gosei Yellow, which was a very poor character. But I would say looks-wise, Gosei Yellow. But yeah, I was still willing to give this character a chance. I will then say that you know, I like the whole backstory with her dad, and you know, she was the one always, you know, making other people happy and stuff. I actually did like her story. What do we think? Well, is there anything else you wanted to say about Sango?
No.
What do we think of Yongo, Hikari?
I
like
liked his...
because this is the series that's just ended. I actually do remember everybody's name very well. Because next week I'd have forgotten them all. So what do we think of Hikari?
I actually liked that kind of quiet, mysterious kind of...
He had that toy thing, the ball toy egg hammer thing. That was a nice touch, I thought.
But do you know why he used that, or what he used that for?
It was it's like a thinking thing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, anyone could have worked that out. That was his thing. And yeah, there was a backstory to that as well, wasn't it? With his granddad or something.
Grandmother.
Grandparent. I can't even... Are you sure? I'm sure it's his grandfather. Whatever. Oh, wait, no, I remember. It was a present from his grandmother. Yeah. Okay, and then...
Basically, she said that her grandmother couldn't afford much, and this is all that she can afford for it. So here, happy birthday, happy Christmas.
But then again, I will say they could have done more. Yeah, they could have developed him more, but the show was already packed enough. What do we think?
I think for what they did for him
was alright
as a character, yes, I actually liked it.
They could have done more, but it was still alright, in my opinion. So,
anything
else?
If I liked him as a character on his own, I thought he was good. I think as a comparison, you may disagree. I felt, actually, you know what? We'll get to standing outs in a minute. But what did you think of Hikari?
Yeah, I've already said. I thought it was a cool character. You know, he didn't need to be standout-ish. You know, he had a good few focus episodes. Yeah, the thing with the detective Sherlock Holmes thing was a bit quirky. The show as a whole was quirky, but you know, I like that about him specifically. And
that's the thing. When I saw that him and his Sherlock Holmes, any other time I would put my palm on my head and shake my head as to why.
But again, ToQger's a quirky show and it's full of imagination, which is their imagination. It's cool.
That's the thing. It actually
plays part of how they're all, you know, spoiler alert, they're all children secretly. So it kind of plays into that whole let's pretend I'm a detective. So it plays into that when you think about it.
I think, and it actually oddly all worked. That's the thing. I don't know how, but it did. Last but no means least.
Not last but no means least, but we are going to talk on Kagura.
Yeah.
Right, you've already slagged her off. I will say, I know, I didn't quite feel the vibe of Gogo. I didn't quite feel the vibe of Kagura either, to be fair. I mean, yeah, I kind of thought, yeah, kawaii, but not really. I mean, yeah, she had one or two good early episodes. I remember that much. And you know, she did do the whole I'm super girly, but I'm super strong. You know, so yeah, no.
No, see, that's the problem. That I felt she was like. Now, I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of slag in the comments below, but I felt she was. For the face.
Allow the face, man. Should we? Right,
no, I meant as in she was merely there. You know, as a. You know.
Right.
Poster girl. If you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah. No.
Because, like you say, her character was weak. She was so over the top for my liking in regards to the imagination stuff. Yes, when it got to the action and stuff, fine, it may have worked, but I felt that there was a line that she crossed beyond, how can I say, what the hell? It's like, yeah, that's my exact reaction of every time I see on screen, it's like, okay, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do? Anything interesting? No, okay. Normal.
She did do a few, wacky things, though, in the show, so it wasn't too bad.
All I remember, if anything, that she did interesting was baked a cake. Whoop-de-doo-dah.
Okay, I remember that. All right, let's before we will touch on Sixth Rain. What did we think of the cast in the train itself? So you got conductor, whatever his name was.
No, I knew you'd come to this.
You got the robot wagon.
Okay,
and then you got the
we'll
puppet
get.
ticket.
Okay, I'll start it because I know. I'll start with this because I know how much you want to lead on to wagon. Right, the conductor at first I thought was very slow, but then as it gradually got on, and dreary. I found him very dreary and boring. But then as it got along, I thought he was an okay character, especially having the banter with his sock puppet that was a monkey called Ticket.
It wasn't a sock puppet, but go on. It was just a puppet. It was a hand puppet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's a hand puppet basically called Ticket. That's a monkey, but I actually liked Ticket as a character. Normally I don't say that, especially for the first time seeing a hand puppet. I thought it was unique. I liked it.
I'm not gonna lie, you look a bit like Ticket.
In regards to Wagon, I thought, yeah, I'm gonna leave it as too much.
Right, my turn.
Hang on, 1 second. Let me just finish by saying I think she was a bit much. That she was merely there for the presents. Let's put it that way.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Right, I'm actually going to say
okay,
I actually like as much as you know where, as much as you think where my emphasis is going to be. I liked all three in general. The conductor from beginning to end, he was just Zayd. I liked the random crap he used to come out with. The way and his tonality, he had a lot, because Japanese in general, they're big fans of tonality in voice and language in terms of tonality to make the difference in the meaning of what you're saying. So I loved his tonality. He had a big range and just the random crap he used to come out with, and like the comparisons and stuff, and just randomly going imagination. Oh my goodness, I just loved it. Ticket. Again, it was sort of like I like the whole thing he had going with Raito. Oh, you're voicing it. No, I'm not. No, it's not. It was. I liked Ticket just for that, really, and I'll touch on the DVD later. I don't know if you watched the DVD. And then Wagon. I've only got 2 words to describe Wagon. Robot slut. Anyway,
that's actually a good analogy of I'm not going to deny that.
I mean, there is that. I know we talked through the year, obviously, where I'm going to start talking about Wagon. Obviously, there is this big comparison between Wagon and Naomi from Deno. There is a massive comparison to be done there, which I'm just gonna carpet bomb it and say they're quite similar. Wagon's just the robot version of Naomi. But, I'd say there was a bit more pizzazz to Wagon. Like, she kept sticking her butt out and, just blowing kisses. And there was a lot of innuendo coming from Wagon. Which,
so basically, she's like the...
Bearing in mind this is a kid's show, the dad... If there were any dads watching it, bearing in mind it's low ratings, if there were any dads watching, they'd have been like, that's disgusting, but it's quite funny at the same time.
Would you say she's like the R-rated form of Naomi, but in a robot?
I have no idea how to describe. Again, I've already blitzed the comparison, but again, Wagon is Wagon, just on its. Bearing in mind it's a robot, on its own merit, Wagon was filth.
And yet you kept on telling me how much. Oh, I love her. Don't deny it. Tell the viewers.
It's well weird. No, I'll just be like, damn, if Wagon was human, damn. But I wouldn't necessarily say that Naomi's the human Wagon. But anyway.
I meant the other way.
Everyone was saying it the other way, but I think there was more to Wagon. But, I like Naomi. She was like kawaii meets hot. Whereas Wagon was just filth.
Got it.
So let's go on to villains. Right. So we've got Zet was probably Zet was
No,
followed
no,
by
I'll get to last.
Baron. Right.
I'll get
So
to
the
Zed last.
beginnings. Yeah. Well. All right. So we've got General Schwartz. We've got the dude with the pointy nose, the big baby,
Nero.
and the woman who was the baby's mother. I'm going to just top it. I'm just going to be very brief. I'll say General Schwartz. I liked his character. I'll probably related to him a little bit. Although the thing with the baby was a bit weird. The baby, what the hell? I mean, it's like, were they ever going to kill the baby off? No. Spoiler alert, the baby's still alive in the last episode. And then like the pointy nose one, I was just like, oh, stop sucking Zet off, man. And then the mother was psycho. I was actually glad when she was killed off. So that's the beginning villains. Your thoughts?
So the villains of the Shadow line, I found it interesting that each enemy, like Schwartz, Nero, Noir, Baroness Noir,
Yeah.
each one from a different language went with black, and I thought at first it was like, really, but then it actually worked. I actually thought it actually worked. So, right, Schwartz, I agree, fantastic storyline on his own. He had a good story. He had a good character. Nero, I think they could have done more with him.
Nah.
I thought
it was a bit of a poo character anyway. So no,
yeah, that's what I mean. I think
care.
they just it was just there as a henchman.
Commander. Or
Yeah,
general.
well,
I know people use
just-
too many words to describe Sentai characters. I
that's
think
the
he's known
thing.
as
He was
no.
just there
I
as
think-
a
right, if I've
bodyguard
got this
to the
correct,
emperor.
Zet was the general, the head general, and
Emperor.
then the others were commanders. I think that's
Yes.
if I've got my terminology correct. Anyway,
Zed
but,
was
yeah,
the emperor. The rest were his subdominants, basically.
I don't know what words you're using now.
Anyway.
So you carry on.
For the
I remember you just slagging Glitter off right from day one. You even because you watched the Raws, right? And I just remember.
I'll get to glitter. I'll get to glitter in a minute.
Mm.
Noir, I thought was actually a fair character. Actually, at the beginning, yes, I agree, she was annoying, but then she developed into an interesting character. Though her daughter, Glitter, a 6-foot baby that's twice as wider than her mother.
Oh well, what are you gonna do? Use your imagination.
Purple in like a white bridal gown, and I'm like, really?
That's just mental, isn't it?
Especially when you kept on calling the part with the chin.
Oh yeah. So, and then just after Zet arrived, there was
Zed.
there was
Zed,
that character. I can't remember her name. The woman. She had like a big corn on the cob on her head.
No, the one that looked like her sort of Marge Simpson head, that looks like a Mike in general, with a staff, and I don't even remember her name to save my life.
No,
but
all right, I'll go. I'll say her character reminded me a lot of Bandora from Zyuranger, and just that general vibe of the actress, who's a very famous Sentai actress who died several years back.
I can see that.
It's almost like they got the voice actress was deliberately made to sound like the actress behind Bandora, and just the vibe I was getting from that character was not Bandora but that actress in general, because I know I've seen she was in Magi Ranger as Magi Mother. Was she Magi Mother? No, like the Magi.
No,
Not Magi Mother.
she's
She was like the Magi Queen or something.
Yeah.
And
I see the comparison, actually, now that you mention it, like a very Bandora-esque, although if Bandora had her boss, had a boss. Yeah, I can see that now. That's an interesting. I never
Oh no,
thought that.
I never. I'll be honest. I don't think this past year just gone. I never mentioned that to you, but this is us looking
No.
at the series review in I was going to say retail detail, looking at series review in detail. So yeah, I will mention it to you now. But obviously, you normally hear me talking about Wagon and the main, like the episode mains. But all right, let's get on to Zep.
But
Oh, all right.
I loved it. I just flat off, I loved it. At first, I was like, wait, what? Really? Because Zed had that kind of conflictious character that he is the Dark Emperor, but somehow wanted like the light, his opposite. He wanted the.
Well, obviously that was
He
the
wanted
bulk.
light. He always wanted light.
I thought, I mean, obviously that was the bulk of Zet's storyline, and it was very interesting. Obviously, spoiler alert, he ends up not caring about it in the end anyway. And I kind of felt that
but the fact, not
ruined
just
it.
not caring, but then building up his darkness as well
Like,
into
yeah,
what
because he
comes
was like,
at the end.
oh, I want the light, but I can't have the light, so I'm going to become more dark. Because I only wanted the
I
light,
loved
because I was
it.
originally dark, but then I mixed with someone who was of the sparkle, and then I wanted the sparkle, but I couldn't get the sparkle, so I decided to become more dark. And then whatever the hell was going on with him and Glitter in the background. And then, like, just as he was about to pop his clogs, Glitter comes and saves him. Ooh, potential return for them in next year's team up. You know.
I see that last part. I was like, "What the hell?"
Oh,
but
and then we'll talk about the V Cinema release later, even though we've not seen it yet. But go on.
one second on that one. But I'd say if you feel that Zed was a weak boss,
No, I wouldn't say. This is it. I didn't see him as strong or weak. That might sound weird. I didn't see him as strong or weak, but I did see him as like original. I liked how original his character was, and just like like the first episode he's in, he's just mixing it at a fairground, comes across Raito, and just starts having banter with him. I thought that was a really nice touch to his intro.
Would you say that you could almost say it's like as original as Leo from Geki Ranger?
His name was Rio.
But without comparing.
No.
No. Alright. No, but
and
I
his
like
name was
Zed.
Rio, not Leo. And
Okay, fine,
they
Rio.
were different characters. No.
But for originality's sake.
I wouldn't even call Rio's character original, but we're not talking about Geki Ranger. We'll get to Geki Ranger. But no, I wouldn't. No, I liked Rio. Just it's not in this. In my if you want to talk about Rio, fine. But I don't think he fits this context.
When I first heard his name, that was my biggest question mark.
I
his
think a
name,
lot of people did.
Zed.
People were like comparing it to Lord Zed from Power Rangers and da 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 da. And then
I mean, I was like, oh yeah, this is very original, isn't it?
Zeto, Zed, Z, Zoo, da da, but whatever. But yeah, I like the character. Not necessarily strong or weak, general or emperor, whatever. But no, I like the character. I like the originality. And
one thing I did like.
It did become a bit puerile towards the end, and the whole thing with Glitter was just messed up, in my opinion.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm referring to in regards to his generic storyline between his connection with Light. I love that.
Yes, I like that as well. I mean,
love that.
It was a bit, I don't know, I think it was a bit overblown, like, alright, so he came into contact with the guy, doesn't mean he's going to take on his inspiration.
It makes sense that it fits somehow in the whole story. It fits from the beginning when they remind you near to the end. They remind you, and I loved it. It's like, boom!
I will still say, like, oh, he kept making this reference. Oh, that was the sparkle I saw that day. That was a sparkle I saw that day. That looks similar to the sparkle I saw that day. It's like, so what? You saw a sparkle one day. Doesn't mean you're going to start craving it. But yeah, but then I liked how, but at least with Raito, it made more sense that he was exposed to darkness. He wasn't necessarily being dark as a character, but when he had dark, whenever he showed like profound
Negativity.
sadness, that like a few episodes ago where he was like on the floor, I can't remember, when Green and Pink were trapped in that little burning doll's house.
That was
he
dark.
collapsed to his knees. He had his head in his hands, and then what's his name, Akira, Rokugo sees the darkness, emitting from him. That was a good touch, and that made more sense than Zet going, "I want this sparkle because I saw it once." Ugh. But no, it makes more sense for Raito than Zet.
Just finishing off on Zet, his outfit wise, I
liked
loved
all his outfits. I liked all his monster forms as well.
Yeah,
it was a bit,
he's the only one I can say that his human form and his upgraded human form and his monster form and his upgraded monster form was
just. Upgrades, though. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, but there was.
I think he only had one upgrade, wasn't it?
I think no, he had about 2 or 3. But I'll say I think it might be Devil Jin or someone from the Tekken series. His monster forms reminded me of one of those Tekken monsters. I don't know if you play Tekken.
Speaking of Rokugo.
Yes, alright, let's go on to Rokugo now. I loved him. I loved the harmonica thing. I loved the whole "I'm gonna die today." I can't, I'm not sure if that is original. The fact that he was a monster becoming good, I'm not sure if that's original, but I liked it anyway. I mentioned this last week about how I liked how, like, even though continuity plot error, like when he was first introduced, Ichigo tried grabbing his thing and putting it in. It didn't work, but in the last episode it does. And you see Ichigo in orange, because when Ichigo first tried to take it, like several weeks ago, I think, like again, bearing in mind I wasn't here like during the summer last year. There was where Akira was first introduced, about 2-3 episodes in. Ichigo did try to take, Raito did try to use his train thing, and it didn't work, but it worked in the last episode. Doesn't make continuity error, or maybe they'll make something up like, oh well, it's because he was super duper hype on light or something. But no, I like the character.
Or he had bigger imagination.
I like imagination. I liked how he had like his monster identity, Zalam.
Zalam.
Zalam. I thought that was quite cool. He was all about the rain, and then because his monster form was about the rain, and then he saw the rainbow and he wanted to protect it. It was a bit corny, but I liked it. I think that's all I've got to say on Rokugo, really. I liked his outfit. I mean, just to quickly tap. I liked his outfit. I liked, I liked his sort of civilian form. He had a good physique. No homo, but yeah, he had a good physique. He was the train maintenance man. That was a nice touch. And the outfit for Rokugo, it wasn't so OTT like, say, Burai, Dragon Ranger, or even Gokai Silver, Golden Mode. He was very subtle changes that made him a little different, and it looked cool.
I liked Akira. I really liked the character. I felt he's that other side of the coin that you needed in the show that made it.
I liked some quirky bits about him.
Agreed.
He took a fondness to that kitten, and the one time he didn't have he didn't have his harmonica, he brought a recorder out. I thought that was comedy. I just cracked
it out. No, basically oh my goodness, right. Starting off with his monster form, the fact that it's a monster that betrays his emperor to join the ToQger to take them down, I thought was like, wait, what? And then
there was the storyline with Schwartz though, when he went back to get the Q-liner. What was it called? The drill thing. I can't say it. The drill thing. The drill train thing.
Drill Ressha.
Yeah, but it had a name. It began with a K.
That's Black Train, Black Liner, Kuro
No.
Liner.
Yeah, no. Oh, whatever.
That's
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I thought that was a good storyline with Schwartz. Obviously, it did get a bit messed up with who's got the Rokugo form now. That was a bit messed up, but I liked how it came full circle. It was a bit sort of Sentai typical, but it's better than, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I still thought it was Sentai typical, but it was good. Yeah, the way it came back around and he came back to the team, and everyone's like,
I
"Oh, we love you, man! You know
I
you're so
thought
cool,
his
but we
monster
love you."
form only showed up enough to like not that you don't care nor do you
It was the right number.
amount because I honestly couldn't give a tosh on it. It like meh. That's why I'm grateful. But his human form I thought was fantastic. His characters was brilliant. Um, I loved his motif of his harmonica and that he just makes his entrance in with the harmonica and like saying like, okay, so this is where I died today, kind of sort of like a very Klingon-esque. So this is a good place. So today is a good day to die, kind of thing. In Star Trek reference, and then but doesn't, and yeah, I'm like I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. In regards to his outfit, just to quickly touch on it, without calling him like ToQger Orange, the fact that they call him ToQger Rokugo and still is orange, I think it works. I actually think that was smart. Very well done. Very well executed. Hats off to Toei and also to the people who actually came up with that. That's how you introduce orange. That's what I got
I
to say
liked.
to that.
I mean, we'll touch on choreography later, but I did like his fighting style as well.
I was
We'll
gonna
get to that.
say.
We'll get to that later.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Let's move on to. I mean, we touched on what we thought at the beginning of what the what the spandex looked like. But what did we think of the civilian forms of our 5 characters, our main 5?
Explain.
You had Mio was always in a yellow jacket with a skirt.
Oh, you
Kagura
mean
was
the
always
outfit?
in that pink. Yeah, I said outfit. I like.
Alright.
It was all very typical, and I thought it was a bit weird the way that the kids had exactly the same clothes as the adult forms.
I actually didn't mind that.
Tokachi had. I actually liked Tokachi's outfit. Hikari, I actually can't remember. Ryato was very sort of what's the word, jock. Mio, I don't know, it was almost borderline slutty, but it still looked quite intelligent on her. And Kagura, I don't know. I mean, I remember the pink jacket, but she could have had something with a bit more flair.
It was a Lolita skirt. It was almost like
Alright,
what.
I believe you, man. Yeah, I.
In regards to the civvies, I couldn't care less for them, to be honest, because I think the characters really shined.
Okay.
No pun intended on light. Ha ha ha.
Alright, let's move on. What did we think of the weapons? And they had the gold train shield thing.
Alright, we'll get to that in a minute.
No,
but
we're talking about that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
In regards to their default sword gun thing, I honestly couldn't care less for it because they had a scope Ressha that just slides in for power ups or whatever. Or if it was in the gun, I honestly couldn't care less for that.
In this series that because their colours were interchangeable, so were their weapons, and obviously you had Kagura using the massive hammer because she was the strongest or something.
Yeah.
That was quite comical, if anything.
I think that it felt like you had an element of like a Gokaiger style where you changed.
I liked how each weapon had its own property. Like the hammer for Sango was like strength, and they each had like a skill you needed, and it was interchangeable between characters to use that skill that the weapon needed. I then liked how I liked the whole, because they don't do it every year, but they brought the weapons together to make the bazooka. And then obviously when they've got the gold shield form thing, they've got that spinny around thing. Yeah, and I liked how Rokugo had his orange baton thing. And yeah, that will come into choreography later. So go on, your final thoughts on the weapons and Arsenal?
See, this is the thing. Let me get this right. For the characters, bear with me on this. For the characters using it, I actually didn't mind it, the way that they used it and such, that it wasn't too much, it wasn't too little or such. I actually didn't mind it. However, not only is it the fact that they combined into like a train going through a tunnel and whatever, and plus individually on its own, it felt like a modernized form of Go-On's style. I did not like it.
Ooh,
if
okay.
if you see where I'm going with it.
I see. Yeah, I can see the comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my neg on that. Now, in regards to Tokudokugo having like a sort of a light baton, like those people on the airport tarmac with the lights going like that, I liked it. I actually liked it, and the fact that it's sort of he puts his drill Ressha as a charger into it. As a finisher, I liked it. I think it felt different to the others. Let's put it that way, and I thought it was good.
Okay.
And also touching on Hyper Ressha as well, if you want.
Yeah, that's. I forget the name. Go on.
I don't know. Right. At first, when I saw the build up to Hyper Ressha just being like a gold train slapped on sideways. Along everyone's chest, one by one, excuse me, one at a time, I thought was like, really? But then again, they didn't overdo it, if that makes sense. I think, unlike Gaseja, where you had their golden headers sticking out of their chest, this one was a little bit more subtle. So I actually didn't mind it, believe it or not. And I felt that the Hyper Ressha roundabout gun thing, I didn't mind that as much either, believe it or not, because I thought that was rather unique.
Okay. Yeah, it was unique in my opinion, but I'm sure someone would say, "Oh no, they did this in the '80s." I don't know.
If they did, comment below.
In it. But right, I'm gonna touch very briefly on Mecha, and you can go into a lot more.
No. What's your opinion on Hyper Ressha, you douchebag?
All right, yeah, I'm gonna go into all the Mecha now. So basically, I already said I didn't like them all in general. Hyper Ressha was
form.
All right, yeah. It was right. The form on the actual characters was meh. So yeah, that's in a word, meh. The actual, when it comes to the mecha, I'll say I didn't like them overall. I mean, yeah, alright, Diesel Ressha and the other police one and the shield one and whatever, they all looked, I don't know, it just all looked on a yucky Megazord. And then you had the base transform. I was not inspired by it at all. Basically, there was, in fact, the only one that gave me vague inspiration was Build Ressha, which was Rokugo's. And I liked how, because like normally everything works perfect in a mecha, I liked how specifically Rokugo had to have all these pulleys around. I thought that was comical.
Right, we'll get to that.
Well, no, I've covered it, so you cover what you want.
Oh, fine, okay. In regards to mecha, starting with the basic 5, and normally any other day I'd enjoy talking about this. I'm indifferent. Because Huh?
Yeah, go on.
The basic 5, at first, when I saw it, in regards to the build-up, in regards to the toys and such, I was like, wait, what the hell is this? Because you've got And I'm not kidding. 5 trains just side by side, and then it stands up.
That's what I didn't like. I thought that was
That's
lazy.
it. And I was like, what? You're missing something. Come on, give me more. Give me more. In regards to their next train set, which was Built Dio, I actually didn't mind that because thankfully it was a little bit, and I was a little bit more cohesive.
A little more thought went into it.
And it looked a bit better than
Ressha.
then. No, sorry, that was Diesel.
Diesel
Ressha.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. Anyway, and then now when it got to Build Dio, I thought that was brilliant. A unique train that was on caterpillar tracks on top of one that had the caterpillar tracks as well. It's like, how does that actually work in the real world? Oh well, who cares? It's imagination. But regardless, yeah. We've got to keep a tally how many times we do this on this show. Anyway. But I loved Build Dio. I love Build Dio, and the fact that his drill Ressha actually worked in not only the actual drill concept with the shovel, but color worked as well. Normally I don't say that, but I actually liked it. In regards to the Super Megazord thing, I did not like it with what's it?
I was
with
inspired
just
by all of it, really.
Hang on a minute. When it got to ToQger and Diesel O combining, I thought rather than calling it a stack fuck, it was so wide. I was like, no, there has to be a new name for this, seriously, because it's absolutely crap. Rather than, no, I'm not kidding. It's like, instead of calling it a stack fuck, it's like, I don't even know what you call that. Now, saying that, Chocho ToQger Dio I thought was an utter hilarity, honestly. The fact that, you know, Build Dio mixes in somehow cohesively actually works, and the shoes were actually caterpillar tracks. I love that. I actually love that. I actually didn't mind it. I actually didn't mind that for once. I thought it was hilarious. Now, in regards to the Ressha terminal, I couldn't care less for that. On its own, it was okay. As a giant train, I actually didn't mind it. As the fact that it was the headquarters terminal area, I couldn't care less. As the last Tokyo Rainbow bullshit, I think they should have just forget about that, because that's just as bad as what they did with Gosei Ultimate from Goseija. Moving swiftly on.
Alright, I'm going to go straight into choreography. Oh, God.
Oh, one last touch on the armament. Meh.
Right, so I'm going straight onto choreography. I will say, I thought it was like a slightly better version of Go Onja for the 5 characters in general, so there wasn't anything stand outish. I mean, obviously they did the whole, I mean, when I watched the first episode and the way they just consistently kept changing colours, I knew it wasn't going to happen as much, but I'll say I was slightly wrong, because they would change colours a few times, so at least they kept that up somewhat. Like when you look at how GoKaiger had the gimmick of being completely different ranges from completely different years, they completely, they utilised that really well in their final episode. But in ToQger's final episode, they just threw all the Reshas at Ichigo, which I thought was a bit cheating. Bearing in mind, GoKaiger had an awesome end sequence. So no, I thought it was a bit lazy, but I can understand the whole Ichigo rainbow thing, but I thought it was a bit lazy just throwing all the Reshas at Ichigo, even though it made sense in the story. I did like the choreography and the fact that during the series they would throw each other's Reshas at one another. I will
See,
say, hold on. I mean, I will say, like again, fight wise, choreography wise, they had good stuff. I mean, Kagura, even though we might not have liked her as a character, you could actually see the character's presence in choreography. And as I said, and I'll come back to this now, the best for me was Rokugo. He was not as refined as the other Sixth Rangers of years previous. He had a bit of a rough edge to him. He wasn't refined, but it gave him the presence, and I liked that. So that's all I got to say on choreography. What about you?
it was different in that it wasn't as bad as Goonja, however, not as great as I had feared. Let's put it that way.
Not as great as you
Not as great as I expected.
feared. Okay.
In that now, just to touch on quickly what you said about that they were lazy in regards to throwing, the whole top.
That's
Sorry,
like the last.
it's yeah, that thing. For the record, I will say that nothing will beat Gokaiger's final scene in that, when they tried to do everyone smashed into one kind of thing in that of Ichigo Rainbow thing, or Rainbow Ichigo, whatever. And then you've got the thing is they did something similar throughout the series because the area was in darkness so heavy that they couldn't stay in their Ranger form for no more than about,
I think it was like 2 minutes or 90 seconds.
or whatever. That's the problem. And yet they were smart enough.
Actually, that was a good plot device.
The fact that they gave Raito all of theirs to accumulate more time, I thought that works. The fact that they just try something similar and it gave him a new form, and I'm like,
why didn't it come out sooner?
Well, not just that. I'm like, okay, what am I missing? Unless it's this another one of their way of winning in their way of imagination winning.
Imagination.
Yes, here we go again.
All right.
Now, however, for Rokugo's style of fighting, I thought was unique, absolutely hilarious. It's just unique is the only word I could say. Every time that he tried to use his weapon, he'd hit them a couple of times, throw it away. Literally, he throws his sword away, and then just goes to it with using his fists. I loved it. Every time I see him throwing his sword away and then just jump at them and then just punching them, just makes me laugh, honestly.
Okay, moving on. Studio and locations. So, I did like the castle.
You mean
terminal.
base?
Well, just the general locations of ToQger. I liked the castle terminal. I thought the rainbow terminal was a bit. I don't know. I think it was meant to look like that. Obviously, you got that weird rabbit character that I didn't touch on the characters, but I don't know, they could have done more with him. But obviously, where the rainbow base was, I don't know, because they didn't have it in for however many episodes, and all of a sudden it just keeps appearing. So I didn't like the rainbow terminal set, but I could see why they made it look like that. It looked very similar to the one in Den-O. And then the train that the Rangers hung out in, it was standard. I liked some of the scenes. I think it was when they found Diesel Ressha or Police Ressha, where they were looking around and Raito only remembered where he was because of where he shared food with some people, and that was in a foresty area. I liked that. I liked that set. I like the different towns. Yeah, like the very early episode, they really differentiated what the towns were, so I liked that. So yeah, I'd say I liked them in general. I mean, they didn't fight outside the stadium as much this series. Although I did recognise, I could be wrong, but in the final episode, I'm pretty sure that was where Gokaiger episode 1 was filmed, or it looked very similar to. Like, you know, all the crumbling buildings around. You either know what I'm talking about or you don't. But in general, I like the locations of ToQger. I liked Castle Terminal. I mean,
Right.
the hometown was a bit meh. They could have done something really good with that. Yeah, I mean, but I like the tree anyway. So what did you think of the
Right.
locations?
Starting off with the most interesting. So I'm going to start with the tree. I'm going to start with that. It made me feel a lot of Gaim of Baron's story.
Okay.
In regards to the whole Ressha terminal and all that kind of BSS, I couldn't give a touch on that. In regards to the every other scenery, like regular locations, I didn't see anything special or unique. In regards to the main ToQger's layer in the train, I thought it was, because I've seen Deno, it was meh. That's my problem. Yeah, that's if I hadn't seen Deno,
how much could you do with the train? But at least in Deno, you had like where that prince, imagine, had his little throne. But there's only so much you could do. I mean, when they were on the Shadow Line, I liked the Shadow Line train Raito was found on in episode 1. That looked quite rustic. And then there was the Ressha they were on. Where
I wish they showed more of that.
There was one episode with another Shadow Line train where they were getting everything they wanted. Do you remember this episode? There was like a Ressha they were stuck on where they were getting everything they wanted. They were like eating in restaurants and stuff, and there was a swimming pool in it and everything. And I think only one or two of the Rangers weren't brainwashed, but it was based on the Monster of the Week for that episode. But alright, you either know what I'm talking about or you don't. But yeah.
Otherwise, I'd say what else? Oh yeah. No, Castle Terminal. This is an interesting one for me. On its own, I liked it. I actually liked it. It gave me a feel of like a bit of Kiba maybe esque, that darkness. / Geki Ranger. No, Magi. Sorry, Magi Ranger. My bad. Otherwise, I will also say that the factor that in a story premise, spoiler alert, the fact that Castle Terminal is the main ranger's hometown, that the enemies, engulfed, I thought was intelligent. However, the fact that at the end they turned it into a monster, and then I thought was like, here we go again. But I think that got quashed, thankfully, by the fact that the whole Skittle Rainbow line just crashed straight into it. I thought was absolutely genius. That there wasn't any prolonged fight or whatever. It just literally speared into it, and I was grateful. But did you see a slight flaw in that when they mentioned that their town was Castle Terminal, but then the Castle Terminal got turned into a monster, and the monster got destroyed and blown up, and yet they got home?
No, because it was only the castle itself that got blown. So I don't have any issues with that.
But from my perspective, you think that the Castle Terminal was their home. Their home gets turned into a monster, and then...
No, because you had their hometown, then they put Castle Terminal in their hometown, and that's where it disappeared from existence. But when the castle became a monster, the monster was destroyed, so the monster was only the castle, it wasn't the whole town.
Yeah, I'm still not going to go with that. But all I will say is I wish if it did blow up, I really would have seen. If their home did blow up with a monster, I really would have loved to have seen what happens then. That would have made it much more interesting.
Okay, so we're done with... alright,
yeah.
So All right, we'll touch on this. I mean, again, there were a few standout episodes. Again, there was the one where the band performed. There was I don't know if it was the same episode where you had Rokugo doing karaoke. Let me think. And yeah, obviously, I think we already mentioned those. Were there any
The
episodes
only
that stood
one,
out for you?
yeah, the first one when you find light on a very dark, very old vintage carriage.
Mm.
I think that, other than the first time you see Chocho Bill Dio, I think that was a standout for me. I think when the entire band that sings the intro, the opening to the song, was appeared, I felt that it was unnecessary but a nice touch.
I thought it was a bit jump the shark. I thought, why do they need to do this? But fine. I think it was a filler
Anyway.
episode in essence.
Yeah. Otherwise, nothing. Otherwise, I think all the story was good enough to make you think like, okay, there's no real pop up. Like for instance, Zed's new forms. When you see it, you know what it looks like, so it carries on and it stays with you. Like also with Rokugo as well, his scenes, and speaking of those like iconic scenes and such, would you agree that Rokugo, Light, and Zed are seen as show stealers?
Well, they were pretty much the main parts of the show anyway, to be fair.
But would you say anyone else is a show scene stealer?
Wagon. Alright, let's move on to... Did you see the DVD?
No.
I knew it was going to say no. Have you seen the movie with the Safari Ressha?
No. Nah.
Alright, and then there was another one. I'm not sure whether it was one of the... Was it the Tyson film? I think it might have been the Tyson film. You don't watch the Tyson films? I know you don't. Right, okay, so
No.
this will be me talking. Right, so I watched the DVD. I thought it was quite a nice DVD. Sort of a very sort of funky, this involved Ticket getting attached to either was it Raito or Rokugo? I forget which one, or I think they mixed up between the two. I thought it was quite a funny DVD, and then Schwartz had his own little puppet. I thought that was a nice touch. It had a bit of a plot to it. I liked it when they introduced a bit of an anime sort of vibe to it by, sort of combining sort of this random girl story for Ticket, and they were fighting over some woman. That was really random. The movie with the Safari Ressha, I actually didn't mind it. It wasn't too bad. The female conductor was a bit meh. They could have given her a bit more story. I mean, she was a bit young. The sort of her age and stuff didn't quite make sense to me. I'm not sure if that's a continuity plot hole or not. I don't know. I felt that there was a bit random with the way that they introduced the whole, this kid can complete the drawing in his mind or something, and kids don't have enough imagination, which is quite weird considering the whole premise of the show. They're going around meeting kids with imagination, so I felt that was definitely a plot hole, but it was still an enjoyable film. And then I'm thinking it's a Tyson film, because I know they had like the Deno Ressha, the Kyoryuger Ressha. I just thought that was unnecessary. I mean, ToQger just didn't need to be there, really. Right, so we are going to wrap up this nearly 90-minute episode with what we thought of the last few episodes and our final thoughts on the series. That's just ended.
Right.
I'll let you
Final.
go first.
Thanks. Final few episodes. I'm glad that the way that the story ended was the way how it ended. I'm not going to complain. Final fights, I actually didn't mind it. I thought it was good. The story itself, I thought was good, again, slow starting, but nice, fair. Honestly, I don't have any qualms with this series much. I'd say uh, if it's good for either you, if you're a fan or if you're wanting to start watching Sentai. I think this is a good way to start, in all honesty.
That's a strong statement, man.
I'm actually, because that's the thing. I'm just trying to think.
There, man.
I am. That's the thing. I am, because I'm just trying to nitpick really fast in my brain. And apart from the Megazord, which has the biggest euphemism you'll see in the show.
Yeah,
the biggest.
They did that in the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from that, and apart from the Megazords, if you can ignore all the Zords and everything, all the robots and mecha, I actually didn't mind it.
Sure. Okay. Alright.
And
what do you think of the upcoming B Cinema release in June, I think? Alright, fine. Alright, I'll go on to mine. Right, I liked the last 5 episodes. Again, the last episode did have a lot to... they could have made it... It was alright, I've just felt it could have been better. Introducing Rainbow in the very last episode I thought was a bit rushed. I'll say that, I like the whole development of the story. They could have... like the whole, Dark Ichigo could have been done a little earlier, or they could have made him intermittent throughout the series rather than just have him like as a blip. But the last few episodes, again, I just really didn't understand what was going on with Glitter. Was Glitter dead? I'm just like, wasn't she dead? It's like, was she dead, or she keeps reappearing? It's like Sparkle. They could have done, like the whole thing, the whole reveal about the Sparkle in... Because the darkness in Raito made sense, but the Sparkle in Zet didn't quite make sense to me. But, I went with it. It's like, alright, it's completely dark now. And, like, in the last episode, he was just being... He actually, it was a bit very sort of stereotypical. They could have done a little more. But, he was just, he couldn't have been that strong if he was that easily defeated. Even though they spent, he's super dark. He's really dark now. He's going to be impossible to defeat. And then they just knock him right out. Twice in the final. Spoiler alert, lol. Series overall, I'll actually say it was a bit... It'll probably stand out, it'll probably be remembered in history for its originality, just like Magiranger was. But, take away take away all the original aspects of it, I don't think it was that great. I like the original aspects, like the whole quirky orange, the quirkiness of it, but in terms of like the Sentai staples, it's not going to be remembered that much. Alright.
Right.
They did the whole colour changing thing. That's quite quirky, but take away that, it's literally, it didn't have that much substance. But I like the quirkiness. It was a fun series. I wouldn't, unlike you, I wouldn't recommend it as a first. I'd probably recommend it like, alright, you're a bit used, maybe a second or a third, but not.
So for fans.
No. I'd probably say a middle ground, because I think, apart from the fact that I know enough fans that don't like it, I'd probably say a bit of a middle ground. So not a starter, but not hardcore. So I'd say middle ground.
Once you started getting into, fine. So
right.
Seeing this as a second or third series.
Yeah, and then of course there's 2 things coming up. You've got the Kyoryuger versus ToQger coming out. That's gonna apparently that's got them coming up as kids. Not entirely sure what the storyline's gonna be. I've read bits on it, but I know Daigo has a haircut. And then you've got the V Cinema release, which is out in June. This is basically all anyone knows is it's actually the ToQgers having grown up into their adult form. So it's not kids as adults, it's adults as adults with a random Toku Nanago, or is it...
there's speculations that that might be Zed.
I don't know, but again, of course, they left a massive gap with they left a massive cliffhanger with Zet being collected by Glitter on the train, which is not too bad. So they've definitely got. I reckon the V Cinema has promise, is what I'll say.
I like the way you explain that in regards to it's actually them as adults, but not with the mentality of kids. I actually like that.
Would
anyway.
no. I know it's set several years after the final episode. It's set several years after the final episode, and they're adults as adults. They're not going to revert. If they do revert back to children, it will be because they're being reverted back to children. It's not because they are children in adult bodies. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap that up. Yeah.
Do you have anything as a last thing or such for the viewers?
Make sure to stand behind the line.
On that note, right, so that has been our review of ToQger today, and otherwise always use your imagination and write something down below in the comment section. Yeah, I had to finish on that one. Otherwise, yep, join us next time, and as always, I've been Master Bushido, and he's been on the other side of the camera, Flayvaman, and as always, like always, a fist of the cam!
Fist of the cam. See you next time.